How to reconnect after you feel you've been needy in a relationship. In this video, I'm gonna answer the most asked questions like how to fix and reverse their impressions of you, what if they don't initiate connections, and how to reach out and not appear needy. And I refer to all types of relationships, despite that in romantic relationships, this kind of abandonment anxiety spirals could be most intense and out of control. I used to be anxious attachment and dread any types of distancing, but I have done a lot of healing work over the years to be more secure. So I wanted to share what I've learned over the years as a healer and also now as a psychodynamic psychotherapist under training. So let's jump right into it. The first thing you need to do is to adjust your mentality. I know that right now probably you're trapped in all types of emotions like shame for being too needy and the fear of losing that connection, and sadness and anger because they didn't really do what you expected. But let's put those emotions in the box for now and not let it cloud your judgments and do extra things and try to fix it. Hear me out. Let's not view this situation as something you need to fix because technically you didn't screw up, because relationships are all dynamically changing. Where you are right now doesn't really guarantee a doomed future or negative outcome. People's emotions, feelings, and impressions of someone, they change as time goes by, and they change as the circumstances changes and their moods change. In probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks, negative impressions, negative feelings tend to be gradually washed out, and negative narratives can be reshaped, and that is the time for reconnection, which I will talk about later. I know right now probably you want to jump in and say that this is really bad this time. You want to list out the things you did, like I texted him like 20 times and I called her 30 times and she didn't respond. She said she never wanted to see me again, and he did that and she said that, and you probably feel really ashamed of it. But that is the childhood trauma talking. It often tricks us to believe that things are worse than it is. And we always screw up, so we need to quickly make amends so that relationships don't get permanently screwed. But real relationships cannot be screwed up. And another thing for people with childhood trauma to learn is that ebbs and flows are natural process of a dynamic relationship, and this applies to all types of relationships. Don't base our feelings on past experiences we had, maybe with our emotionally unstable, immature, unpredictable parents. Just like how comets often gravitate around the sun, sometimes it's closer, but sometimes it's further, but it always comes back. It never disappears from the orbit. If you don't believe me, just try to think of a time when you tried to avoid talking to someone because you get probably annoyed or something. But in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, your impression of that person starts to get neutralized. Bad impressions start to get away. And then sometimes you may even suddenly have the urge to reconnect and check in. And this is the same with all types of relationships. No matter how bad you feel or you think the situation is right now. Now let's move on to the second step, which is to give them time and give them space. I know on the surface it looks like passive waiting, but it really is not. I know you hate waiting, I know you hate distancing, but let's not worry about that for now because you still can do active things on your part to fix it. But right now, this time and space is what needed for them to wash out any negative impressions or images or feelings they have towards you and create this spell or the pull later. And you're trying to sell the impression that you're okay, you're comfortable, you're chill with letting them go because you know it's not about you, because you know their behavior or their rejections are not a reflection of if you're worthy or not. If you find it hard to think it this way, if you find it hard to regulate your emotions, you can watch my video on, I'm gonna put it up here, how to soothe your abandonment anxiety. And after you have processed your emotions and you're ready to take the step, come back here and watch this. But at least on the surface, just for show, you don't initiate calling, texting, or talking to them. You don't intentionally show your faces in front of them. just because you fear that they may forget you. You also don't need to intentionally avoid them. Just act like however you used to act around them when you bump them in the street or in the office corner. Whatever the situation is, the mentality you're trying to sell here is that I'm sad that you didn't really meet my expectations or act in a way that I wanted you to, but it's okay because I know you have your reasons. I'm not mad at you, I'm not hurt, but I'm also open to further handouts if you ever want. And the third step is to change your abandonment narratives. I don't want to give you those mind tricks that only work once, but not gonna help you in the long run. That's not why I started this channel. I wanted to help you touch the authentic self and heal the deep wounds underneath all of those surface symptoms. Remember this, relationships are not hard, but past childhood experiences may have planted the seed in you of not trusting people, of not believing that they can be there for you. So those CPTSD scars and mentalities are blocking the authentic, spontaneous, and fun child from showing up. So during this no contact period, it's a good chance for you to really work on yourself, heal the past wounds, and process your emotions like the shame you feel of not good enough, maybe the fear of losing connections, even though that this person may not be that good for you, and suppressed anger and sadness from childhood. That is why you often get triggered when people don't respond to you, when they are distancing, when there is inconsistency or instability. Those are all triggers, but they touched the wound underneath. To heal, you need to explore the following questions like, well, why are you overreacting? Why are you feeling this incredible pain when consciously you know it's not a big deal? What emotions are getting triggered? What narratives are being replayed in your head? For example, all people leave me. Nobody truly wants to be there for me. Nobody loves me. They all want to just take advantage of me. Those are all narratives from the childhood, and now it's getting triggered. But there is a pattern. So also you wanted to look at the history of maybe this happened with every friend of yours that in a similar situation. Maybe this happened to every ex-boyfriend or ex-wife that you had in the past. I have a series of videos on how to overcome the fear of abandonment, and in those videos I included my personal examples and also step-by-step guide from CBT. I'm gonna put those videos up here somewhere. And I also talked a lot about attachment trauma in my channel. I hope it helps you understand, how those early attachment relationships are affecting your relationships right now. You can also look up attachment trauma. All over the internet, there are so many resources and so many therapists talking about how to address those attachment wounds so that in the future you could be feeling more secure about yourself and also in relationships. Lastly, let's talk about how to reconnect. If in a couple of days they reach out, that's awesome, that's wonderful, right? But if they don't panic yet. We can also reach out in a non-needy way. I'm gonna show you how. Just a couple of things to keep in your mind. The key principle here is mentality. Whatever content that you're texting, just make sure that it reveals this mentality like, well, too bad you didn't want to hang out last time. I really wanted to, but it's okay because I know it's not about me and you have your reasons. But now I'm open to further hangouts if you ever wanted to. We can find a time that works for both of us. Only reach out when you're yourself, when you feel confident, when you feel safe, when you're calm and chill and centered and feeling abundant. Don't reach out when you're in a state of desperation or out of this sense of urgency. Don't use accusatory languages like, why have you disappeared? Why haven't you responded? Where have you been when I needed you? It reveals that you have been waiting. It reveals that you are hurt and angry. And this kind of pressure drives people away. And this also negates the whole purpose of distancing. Also, don't act in a passive-aggressive way. If you're not sure if the wording is okay, just pretend that you're texting a friend who has gone off radar. Like, hey, how have you been? Do you want to grab a drink this week? Life has been busy, huh? Just pretend that you're texting someone not that important to you. Remember this, connections are not hard. It's just past trauma are blocking the authentic, real self from showing up. Don't carry too much burden when you are texting because you got this, you can't handle this. Relationships are something you can't handle. And last question I think a lot of people are most concerned about is that what if they don't text you? Does it mean that they are still angry with you, disgusted with you, they don't like you, they don't want to hang out with you anymore? This is a black and white thinking pattern from childhood trauma, because CPTSD often makes us believe that, well, if things don't go in our way, if it's not in our control, it must have gone wrong. We probably did something, and something irreversible. But strike out that mentality. There probably could be a million reasons why they haven't reached out to you. Probably they don't know how to. They have been putting it off because it brings them stress. They're not good at handling this kind of thing. They're probably afraid of conflicts. They are afraid of being accused and blamed by you. They are probably preoccupied with stress from work. They're busy with things, so they kept putting it off. There could be a million reasons. If you're interested in learning about how to heal the fear of abandonment, I'm gonna put my playlist up here somewhere. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.